So I'm always excited to have guests on the show, especially today. This man is a mentor, advisor, friend, business partner, confidant. My wife worked for him. This is how we initially met about 15, 20 years ago. And he's just been a constant influence in my life. 7 years ago, last Thursday, in fact, he showed up back in Oklahoma City, was moving back from London. He said, "Hey, I want to show you what I've been working on." And he walked through a couple tools. And I said, whatever that was, like, I need it as a man, dad, husband, but that's what I want to do for my life's work. And so I joined a partnership with this little company called GiANT Worldwide. Because of this man, we're going to have a conversation with today, Jeremie Kubicek. So he is the executive chairman of GiANT, co-founder of GiANT. I could list off about 45 different things, but the man, the myth, the legend, Jeremie Kubicek. Welcome, my friend.
Handsome, would that be one that you would have said?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. No, I'm joking. Good to see you, bro. Thanks for the time. Love what you're doing on this show, and because you live it. That's the fun part about you, man. It's like you live this stuff, and I love that. So excited to be with you today.
I love it. So who is Jeremie Kubicek? I know co-founder of GiANT, executive chairman, best-selling author, like 60-second, 90-second version. Like who is Jeremie Kubicek?
I am an encourager by nature. I had that chance to almost lose my life in 2002 in a tragic car accident in Mexico. And I'm now getting the chance to live my second life. That's it. I mean, I'm really, truly, have developed a business to inspire and encourage people and help them, but then to create real health that they can multiply. We call it 100x. So what I'm about is I have a wife, Kelly. I have 3 kids. I'm an empty nester. They're older. So I am an entrepreneur, and I'm an encourager, and I impact people. So I create content, build businesses, and impact people. That's what I do.
Yeah, I love it. So we're talking about mindset on Monday Mindset. Like when did you realize, at what point in your life did you realize like that mindset actually matters, right? That you need to be more intentional with it?
Well, I mean, I could go back to 14 years old at my farm, realizing that I was despising the farm. And I was really, what I was doing was I was causing my dad pain, making it harder on him to lead me. And there was something that happened where I flipped the switch and I was like, you know what? What if I actually tried to enjoy it? What if I tricked myself and I said, I'm going to enjoy the farm? No. And so I tried my first mindset hack, and it was amazing. And the feedback from my dad was like, what happened to my son? And I kept being positive, and I changed, and then it made it more fun. So I knew I had to do it. So why not make it fun? And that was a game that I played. So it was probably at 14, but I have since then figured out mindset. Oh my goodness. However my mood is and my mind is, leaders define culture. So I'm spreading my mindset. Am I spreading a negative mindset, or am I spreading a positive mindset? And so that's something I've been focused on since I was little.
Yeah. Well, that's a huge lesson for those listening who may not love where you're at right now. Maybe you're in a difficult situation. Maybe you don't love the job that you're in. You wish you were somewhere else, but you are where you are in this season. But you get to choose how you show up in the midst of that. And so like being on the combine, working on the farm, you don't have to love it, but to tell yourself, no, I do enjoy it. This can be fun. It's a choice. And to your point, that multiplied, right? Your influence started to go up with your dad. Your dad's mindset started to change. Everything got better. Your situation, your circumstances didn't change, but your perspective did, and your mindset did. And usually that's the thing we actually have to focus on. What do you think has been the biggest challenge to you having a healthy mindset as you've lived life, as you've raised kids, built a marriage, built businesses around the globe? How has mindset kind of been a challenge for you?
So every one of us has internal struggles, internal insecurities, right? And so realizing what mine are, I have a tendency historically to worry or have anxiety or fear, and to fight that. I remember being on my honeymoon. I didn't have a job on my honeymoon, and I remember fighting that mindset and like, oh my goodness, I need to have a job to feel like a man, to feel like a married husband who's organized, blah, blah, blah. And it took a while to get over that. Obviously, being employed is a good thing. But for me, I think I've realized that it's a part of my wiring.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a part of my upbringing a little bit in my family dynamics of different other people who had worry or fear. So to be able to know that that's in me, I have to fight it, and it becomes like a habit. And that habit of anxiety, worry, and so honestly, it's probably a daily. It's the reason I do, and I'll share my plans. The reason I do what I do is because I'm basically trying to keep myself in this future view and realistic but positive mindset. And I don't know, I just rambled there, but
no, that was good. Well, and it's interesting because you said, worry sets in, fear sets in, insecurity sets in. But I've known you for most of however long, 20 years. And what I know of your story before that as a risk taker, right? Fresh out of college, like I'm going to move to Russia and start businesses. I'm gonna launch global leadership conferences. I'm gonna launch a global leadership platform, which are all anti-worry. Not that worry isn't involved in it, but it's like you've figured out how to move past worry. And I think that's a huge thing too. Is like you don't overcome these things necessarily. You just work through them. So how do you work through the worry as you run towards the future?
Yeah, so there's two thoughts that hit me. First was, if you want to go high, you have to go deep, right? So what I had to do was my roots have to go really, really deep. So what I read, who I'm around, what I watch, all those things affect my mindset. And so having to trade up to go, this show's not bringing life to me. It's not. I know it's not helpful. I'm going to trade up. The book. I was reading a book not too long ago, and it started getting kind of smutty, and I was like, this isn't helpful. So I just got rid of the book and moved on to another one. Right. So trading up. That's one thing. But one of the things I do in the afternoons. This has been probably the most helpful thing for me to organize it. And anyone listening, this could be a really helpful exercise. It's called an examine. And I do it almost every day. I would say 75% of the days I do an examine roughly around 5:30 p.m. And the examine's not new. It was built by the Jesuits, by Loyola back in the 1500s. So this is something that's been around a long time. But it's really, really helped me in the mornings much, much better. It goes like this. In 5:30, I take 10, 12, 15 minutes. That's all. And I do 3, maybe 4 things. Number one is I look back through my day of what the highlights were, and I'm grateful for it. What do I want to be grateful for the day? I go, you know what? I had that meeting with Kevin. That was really great. I had the meeting with Tracy. I had a meeting with whoever. That was awesome. Really feel good about that. So that's a Thanksgiving. If sometimes I'll send them a text. Hey, just wanted to say how great that was. Thank you. So what I've done, and then sometimes I'll write that in a journal. I found that I haven't been writing in a journal as much because I felt like it was bogging me down. So I just do it. So I do this Thanksgiving exercise. Then I go back through, that's number one. Then I go back through my entire calendar of the day in the 6, 7, 8 meetings I had, or the 8 things I worked on. And I looked for anything in me that was off. Was I snarky? Was I cynical? Was I jaded? Was there an attitude? And I look and go, man, I don't know if I like that guy, and I bet he could tell. Or why do I not trust that person? But I look at it not for what they did wrong, but what was in me. Is there anything I need to apologize? So sometimes what I'll do then is I will then apologize. And, once a week, it probably happens. Hey, you know what? I kind of felt like I was maybe a little bit slandering, and I didn't mean it to be that way. So forgive me on that. And I caught myself. What I'm doing is I'm keeping short accounts with myself. And so that's the second thing that I do. And then the third thing I do is I look at, is there any tendency there? Anything that's a continuation? And I create a tendency log. I have 28 tendencies that I've logged down on Airtable or like an Excel sheet, where I basically go, wow, sometimes you name drop, and sometimes you exaggerate, and sometimes And they're not always negative. I do positives as well. But what I'm doing is I'm doing self-awareness, but I'm doing it every day in 10, 12, 15 minutes. And then the fourth thing is I look at tomorrow, and I look at the calendar tomorrow and go, what do I need to be prepared for? What's the attitude? What's the mindset? Not just what do I need to be doing task-wise, but how do I need to be thinking about them? Do I need to pray for something? Do I need to look at something? Do I need to get my mind right about something that's happening tomorrow? And what I've done is I've done that every single day. What that does is it kind of feels like, high five, that was a good day. And I put a good day in the books. And then the next morning, I'm really ready. I'm not dealing with any drama because I've kind of dealt with it today. So my mindset and any worry or negativity got taken care of at 5:30. So that by the time I'm in the morning, I have a whole nother routine to get me ready for the day.
Yeah, that's so good. And it's a tool we use all the time, right? Know yourself to lead yourself. And self-awareness is such a key for leaders to even think back and reflect, how was I in that meeting? Good, bad. Well, if it was bad, what am I going to do about it? And so for people listening, I mean, think how would your mindset change? How would your influence change if you spent 10, 12 minutes a day doing that? Thinking about, because we spend that time like being frustrated with that guy was such a jerk in the meeting, or thinking about other people and how they should have handled things instead of just taking 10, 15 minutes. What about me? How was I? And why was I that way? How could I be better? Well, then that gives you a chance to be better the next time. And you're hitting reset. So the next day, it's like you're not still worried, like you said, you're not worried about the drama from the previous day. It's dealt with. It's over. And the past, I can run into today with a fresh mindset, fresh perspective. I think that's really good.
And that's the key, Kevin. It's a habit, but what you're doing is you're not. I used to realize that I used to do. I would worry or get frustrated with something, and it would carry over 2, 3, 4, 5 days until it got dealt with. Therefore, how was my mindset during those days? Not good. And so by actually making it 24-hour increments of short accounts, and it might have to be, hey, I need to deal with something. And I had something recently. I had to deal with a person, and it affected my mindset, even that I was doing this examine. But most of them, I'm finding that I'm waking up with more peace. I'm waking up with way more rest. I'm waking up a lot more. My mornings are easier to get going because I've already dealt with yesterday, and I've already thought about today. And so now I'm just living into what I already thought about. So again, those are, if people were asking, number one, Thanksgiving, what are you grateful? What do you need to highlight? 2, you readdress any attitude, mood, anything that was in you that needs to get taken out. 3, it's looking at any tendencies that you're having that you might go, you know what? This is something that keeps happening over and over again. I need to address it. And then 4, we look at tomorrow. So that examine process, I put it on my calendar. So I actually have it every day at 5:30. I have it in my calendar. If it moves to 8 p.m., great. Doesn't matter. If it moves. And the other thing is, when I started it, I was thinking I had to be sitting down with a journal. Then I realized I travel. So I gave that up, and I just said every day at 5:30, no matter where I am, I'm going to do it. And so if I'm driving home on the way home, I don't take any phone calls. I don't listen to anything. I do the exercise.
Yep.
And, obviously I can't look at the calendar if I'm driving and such, but you kind of go back and what your day was like. So it's almost like as you go, that's the secret. Self-awareness as you go, not when I get time, I'm going to go off with a journal and do this deep contemplation. No, 10, 12 minutes.
Well, because we make things seem so dramatic and so like, oh, I like this idea, but that's so much work and I don't have time for it. And to simplify it and say, no, you can do it while you're driving. You don't have to go sit out, like overlook the valley and have like your notepad and a glass of wine. And it's like, no, I can literally do it anywhere. So you're removing excuses. And I love the piece of just putting it in your calendar, especially for our personality. If it's not in the calendar, it's probably not going to get done. But it's also kind of a mental anchor, right? It's like setting your clothes out. If you're going to go run, if you put your shoes and your like running clothes out the night before, and you wake up and you see your clothes, like you're going to go running more often than not. It's like, I set my clothes because you don't want to feel guilty. Like you don't want to shame yourself. Like,
That's
so you
right.
see it. So it's like, I got to go running. Same thing. You see it in the calendar. It's like, no, I need to make time to do this. So, and then it's part of having that vision for who you want to be. Well, you want to be a healthy leader, be a healthy man. And that's the habit formation.
The other thing that's really important, Kevin, is if you take the support challenge matrix that we have at GiANT, we take liberate, not dominate. If you're dominating yourself, then you can be very critical about yourself, and you examine yourself, and it leads to judgment. Yeah. But you have to lead from liberation. You have to liberate yourself. So that means giving yourself grace to go, oh, I totally screwed up. Oh my goodness. Hey, Kevin, I'm so sorry, dude. Forgive me about that, man. I think I was just in a sour mood. It's not what I've intended. But by doing that, but if I'm liberating myself, it's almost like a game. And I'm now kind of going, okay, what are we going to find today? And then what you do is you notice yourself being very open to maybe some bad habits to go, yeah, it's a bad habit I don't want in my life anymore. But I'm not going to do it out of judgment or domination. Like, oh, you always do this, Jeremie. Why do you always? Instead, you go, call yourself up, not out. And if you call yourself up and have an examine process, then you look forward to it. And then you're getting better. But you're getting better for yourself, but everybody else around you as well.
That's right.
So now you can add in. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say you can add it. You can make it as deep as you want to go. Now I gave you a generic one. You can go as spiritual as you want to go. You can just look at your day. So you can make it anything that you want to based on your personality and who you are.
Yeah. Well, it's a health habit like going to the gym, right? It's like, and you're getting a little bit better every day. And for people to, like, think about, who would I be if I had done this for the last week, for the last month, what progress would I have made? But also the value and influence that comes from you figuring these things out about yourself. And you don't need to have other people pointing them out because other people are aware of them, right? They know that you do these things. Now, most people aren't going to point them out. But when you can learn to be objective with yourself, and it's like, no, I do that. And then you change, and people are like, man, that person, they got better. And I didn't have to say anything to them. They just figured it out. You're just becoming, like you said, healthier, not just for yourself, but you're spreading that health.
I just had an aha. And this is like, I have in the mornings, I have been working out in the mornings. And it
shows, yeah.
But it's been thank you. But it's been in the morning time frame. It's like 6 a.m. and I go and work out when I have a home gym. But what's really interesting is that in the past, when I wasn't doing an examine in the afternoon, I would let things carry over and I would wake up thinking about them. And then they would oftentimes carry me into work, or like, I gotta go. I need to get on that. Because I wasn't prepared for it, or I was still processing it. But by doing this in the evening, it could be 5:30, it could be 8:30. Loyola did it twice a day. He did it at noon and they did it at night. But whenever you choose to do it, what I just realized for me is that allows me to have peace in the morning because my mind's already set. I've already dealt with it. So now I started a brand new day, and now I'm starting off with vigor and excitement and not worry or anything else that popped up because I already dealt with it. So it's like, that's why my mornings are been really good these days.
Yeah. Well, that's, we talked either last week or week before on Monday Mindset about mental prep, right? It's like if you have a keynote or a game, like you're going to prepare physically, right? You're going through the motions, you're practicing, you're doing your run throughs. Most of us don't prepare mentally for things. That's why you get like March Madness. These guys, they've practiced for years and years and years. Well, they get out when it matters and they weren't prepared mentally and they kind of crumble in the moment.
Right.
Where you're doing mental prep for the like thinking about the day previous, but also mentally preparing for the day ahead. So you don't just wake up and go to meetings. You've already prepared for that meeting and the person you're going to interact with. What do they need from me? What are they going through right now? How do I need to be in this meeting versus just, all right, now here's my 9 o'clock. What are we doing? What's this about? It's like you're mentally prepared and free going into those meetings because you're not carrying the worry from the previous day.
That's good.
I love that. So so thinking through that, one, that's just a simple practice that people can do, right? Again, we often say, I don't have time. You have 10 minutes to get better. If you want to be about getting better, you have to do the things that make you better, right? You have to have that habit formation.
Yeah. And again, as you go.
Have that vision of who you want to be. Well, what habits does that version of you have? It's like, and are you working? Are you trending in that direction? If not, what are you going to do about it? But the second thing I want to hit on quickly is, how do you help leaders get a better mindset, right? So you're talking about what you've done for what you do for you. Part of our job is unlocking leaders, right? And that's a huge part of that is mindset. So how do you multiply mindset with leaders?
Yeah, so you do the same thing. What did I just teach all of you? Hey guys, I'm going through a process every day at 5:30. Here's what it looks like. Here's the benefits. Here's how you do it. Try it out. So even just doing that, how many of you will try that out? You might go, oh my goodness, that's amazing. You then share that with other people. So multiplication is basically imitation. Multiplication is not telling someone what to do. Multiplication is they imitate you, they mimic you. So if you want to multiply the right habits, share it. Do them first before you share it. Get good at this. I've been doing this for a long time. Now I'm telling you about it. Yep. So now if you want to mimic me, great, go for it. I think it'd be really helpful for all of you because it's just a simple little thing. It's better than that one phone call or some talk radio or whatever on your car on your way home. Yep. Great, do it then. So that's a way, but then let your kids see you do it. Talk about it. I sent my kids a book, a little booklet on this, and they're all attempting to do it. And we're talking about it on a regular basis. So
that's so good. I think because leaders, we're multiplying. It's whether or not we're doing that intentionally, right? And again, most of us are multiplying that unhealthy mindset. But to say, no, I'm doing this and it's working. You should try this. Here's the impact that it can have. And you've said a phrase a couple of times that we use often in GiANT. It's just trading up, right? Thinking through the activities that you have throughout the day. You can have 10 minutes of talk radio. What if you traded up to doing this? What would the difference be in your mindset, in your life, in your relationships? Because we talk about trading up with what you're consuming, right? What show on Netflix, what book are you reading, what music are you listening to, what news are you listening to, right? Because inputs determine our outputs, but also just trading up in general, our activities, sports radio or examine. It's like, what's going to be better for you? And we have to start doing the things that actually make us better. Not just talk about wanting to get better, but doing the things that make us better. Tracy, before you hop in with any questions, my final question for Jeremie is, what are you excited about right now? This can be personal, business, whatever. What are you most excited about right now?
Well, I'm most excited about creation and building. It's how I'm wired. So to create content, we have some content that I've been building and working on that nobody knows. And it's about to come out in May. I'm excited about some of the content we're building and filming for the sports world and student development. I'm excited about some of I'm creating concepts this week for the next 10 years. And that sounds crazy to some people, but I have 30 pieces of content and concepts. And I'm just going, okay, which ones we're going to do this year, next year, next year, and the next year. And they're all good and they're fun, but like it's stuff that's in me. And I feel like I have platforms and partners and people to help me get those things out. And I love that. So again, back to creating content, building businesses, impacting people. Those three things are very motivational to me. And I'm excited that I've got the partnerships in place and the people around me that we can get those things done.
Love it. Good morning, Tracy.
Hello. Hey, that was great, Jeremie. And I'll tell you all, I've known Jeremie since 1989. It is so cool to work with people like Jeremie and Kevin, who are such high character, high value systems that I can truly say that Jeremie lives out what he's talking about. And what I also love about Jeremie in particular is that he will tell you where he falls short. So he'll tell you, gosh, I struggle with this, or this is something I'm having to work on right now. And then he goes and he does something about it. And then he's so excited as a connector, he goes and tells everybody what it is, which is great because that's how we sharpen one another, right? So I love that. Also, I'm going to put a plug in really quick because Jeremie talked about his experience back in 2002, right, Jeremie?
Yep.
And he's written that in this book. And we don't talk about this book a whole lot. We talk a lot about the 5 gears and the 5 voices, but this book is an amazing read. And it'll tell that story in here at the very beginning. And it's just a great story. So pick it up. Amazon.
Making your leadership come alive. Or if you see Leadership is Dead, those are 2 of the same book. One is a hardcover. That's a soft cover. So that's less expensive. Making your leadership come alive. Thanks.
That's great. Yeah. So do you have time for a few questions?
Sure.
All right. So Mary Beth says, when you choose a great mindset despite the circumstances, I think this was at the very beginning, when you were talking about with your dad, you chose that. How do you keep from staying in situations that aren't healthy? So she says, I tend to see things positively instead of just making the changes necessary.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. So you might be enabling or protecting yourself versus getting to reality, right? It's a good question. I don't know because I haven't done that as much. I've probably battled the other things like, I've got to do this. I've got to do this. So you're tricking your mind is basically what I was saying, to want to do it. You may want to basically have a friend around you and you ask 2 or 3 people and have them ask this simple question. Am I in a role or a job that I shouldn't be in? Am I being too positive and am I protecting without bringing challenge? Because if you're protecting, that means that you're bringing high support but no challenge. You need to share expectation and challenge to be in the liberate category. So you might not be liberating, you might be protecting. And so asking 2 or 3 friends to tell you the truth might be your best way.
That's great advice. And I think you would probably agree that some voices would tend toward that, whereas maybe your voice would tend the other way. Here's another one. Joanne is asking, have you ever experienced when you were not in the mood to do your exam and exercise, and what's your thought process to get yourself to do it?
Yeah, so it's almost like habitual. Like this weekend, I didn't. I was busy. I was watching basketball and I was working on projects and I didn't, and I was okay. The thing is, this is not legalism, but I'm excited about today at 5:30. I'm going to today because it's helpful. It's a tool to be. So we're not designed for it. It is designed to help us. So just keep that in mind. It's not about the examine. It's the examine as a tool to help you. I just shared with you this process to make it easier. And if you miss a day or 2, no worries. But getting out of the habit. You may want to, if it's really working for you, just stay in the groove. If that means you do it 4 times a week, great. 6 times, awesome. If that's every day, eager beavers, go for it.
Great advice. Love that. That's it. That's our questions for today. Kevin, any last words?
No, I think, just Jeremie, I appreciate you to echo what Tracy said. Jeremie lives it. We've had a rule in our house for 15 years. Like, hey, if Jeremie suggests it, like we just say yes. Because we trust his character, we trust his intent, and it's worked out pretty well so far.
I need to remember that though. I haven't fast enough.
but because we trust him, right? It's like we know his intent for us, we know his character, and it's worked out pretty well. And so I just appreciate you taking time to share, give some people more insight into who you are and to what you're about. Appreciate you doing it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you both.
Thank you all. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Jeremie. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. We'll see you back here next week. We have a really great interview with a neat woman from Africa named Irene. So you're going to want to show up for that next week as well. So we'll see you next time.
See you guys.